All right, best kept secret on the internet for the DIY guy, complete performance blocks. Order those offline. Well, let me back up. So they don't make a lift kit for this truck specifically. You can't go on like CST's website or like Rancho's or Rough Country or any of those big box stores. And I hate to throw in those names because I'm sure some of the people listening hate a few of those particular sites. But nonetheless, nobody makes a kit. Now you can spec out some leaf springs if you want, which by the time you add the deflection, the estimated front end weight, because you'd really have to weigh the thing out and figure out how much it weighs to figure out how much droop there's going to be and all that. It was just easy for me to simply throw lift blocks under it. If it was a 4-wheel drive and these were going to be pulling steering axles, I probably would have gone through that effort, but it's not. It's 2-wheel drive. Hate it if you want, that's okay. It's a budget build. But Complete Performance, I think it was just completeperformance.com. I don't know. Throw it into the Google, Complete Performance. That's where I got these lift blocks from. To the best of their knowledge, I put these on an F350. Don't tell them. They might get mad about that, but rear lift blocks for an F350 is the same size dimensions as front lift blocks for an F650, and I'm assuming 750. I like them because they're captured bolts. It does have different holes in the top, so you can shift the axle forward or backward if you need to, or if you had some sort of massive frame damage, you could fix a cattywampus issue. I'm gonna continue to use the sway bar links for now. I can pull that down and make it reach, but I'll probably end up lengthening them. But man, these things fit in exactly like they needed to. On their site, you can put a couple degrees angle on them if you're trying to add that in there for any camber or caster, not camber, any caster issues. But yeah, that ended up being a really good fit for me for a budget build. Highly recommend those. They're very well built. They're powder coated. It's a really good powder coating because I beat those pretty hard over there, and there's still powder coating on them. But yeah, love those. I'm gonna go ahead and finish zipping that up now, tighten everything else out, and throw this tire on here and slide onto the back of the truck and see about putting those back tires on. Put some back?
Yeah.
All right. How many inches is that?
5.
5.
I'm guessing.
All right, so the front lift is done. It puts the back down about an inch. Kind of figured it would be somewhere in there, or at least close. I think I'm gonna go up about 3 inches because I can rearrange the spring pack. I had those overload springs. I think I can undo those, maybe cut them shorter, and then just reorder them under the leaf springs. I think that's gonna be my immediate plan. That should net me about 3 inches. I don't mind the truck having a little bit of a rake, but I really don't want the truck to be squatty in the back. So went ahead and we cribbed up the back a couple inches higher than it needs to be to give us good working room. And I'm gonna go ahead and fight those leaf springs out of here, get them on the ground, and undo that top nut right there, which is gonna unbolt all the leaf springs, put them in an order that I like, bolt it back together, and just slip it back in there, which on a regular size truck probably wouldn't be that big a deal, but on something with that many leaves, I'd say it's probably gonna weigh a few 100 pounds. So that'll be cool. I do probably have another inch or 2 in those bottom U-bolts if I need to add some more height to it, so I could probably go a full 5 inches. But I'm gonna start with 3 and see how that is. I think that's probably gonna be perfect. The truck's already absurdly tall. That's gotta be a little over 7 foot. But yeah, so let's get to work, start fighting that out from under there. All right, in a wild turn of events, there's 2 packs, 2 independent bolted packs, which is awesome. I thought that was gonna be the same bolt that went through all of it. And to my surprise, after wrestling those long U-bolts off, oops, sorry about that there. To my surprise, after wrestling those long U-bolts off, it's 2 independent packs with a block spacer. So that pack is its own pack. This overload pack is its own pack. And then you have a spacer to make up for the nut and bolt so that they can still sit on top of each other and the tips don't touch. You never want the tips to touch. Sweet. Well, I tried to cheat the axle forward because it's like 1/2 inch too far forward in the wheel well. It's just a visual thing for me, but you can see that this bottom perch is not uniform. This is how it was in the truck, and this is how I tried to put it back. And it's like it was built that way exactly on purpose. So it wouldn't quite bolt up that way, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it back in the exact same way. But fun fact for anybody who might be doing one of these are directional, as you probably knew, and they cannot be flipped around backwards to try to cheat the axle one direction or the other. So, yep, to whom it may concern. Now, on a positive note, restacking the leaves is awesome. It's perfect. Everything bolts in. Obviously the U-bolts are gonna be the right length. There's not gonna be a clearance issue unless I really sag the truck out, which with how this truck is being built and its intended purposes, that's never gonna be a concern. If I really wanted to, I could take my cutoff wheel and lop that off and lose that point of contactor here if I did want to get silly with it and overload it. But yeah, somebody out there is doing the same thing. You can just refashion those overload springs to the bottom with what you got and increase it. It's not quite 3 inches, it's like a little over 2 3/4. But yeah, so everything's still pinned, everything's still got holes on everything up for safety and all that jazz. The bottom saddle is the right direction, despite me trying to flip it around on purpose. But yeah, that would be a great solution. I don't know if somebody else is trying to build one of these to steal 2 3/4 inches lift out of the rear. Considering the front is already set and we're just going up at the back, if it's 2 3/4 inches right there, then I think you're probably gonna end up in, I don't know, 3 inches of lift in the backpack. So something to keep in mind just because of how the whole geometry of it works. But all right. Now that side's done, let's jump over to the other side, pop it off, do the exact same thing. Same process, opposite side. Take this leaf pack from the top, unbolt everything, put it on the bottom, between the bottom and the axle, tighten it back up. It's not too bad because I have my process together now. Loosen the front all the way, and then there's a lot less torque on these back U-bolts because the pressure's been relieved for the most part. And then you use the little crescent and the, well, I say little, then you can switch down to the average size crescent wrench. All right, so this side's complete. We got the load spring from the top moved down to the bottom, reblocked. See better on this side here. So I got the load spring from the top removed, slipped down to the bottom, same thing, no clearance issue over here. That might not look like a lot to some people, but this thing just does not flex much. And as previously stated, if it does become a clearance issue, then I'll just trim it right here. I'm really only using the overload spring for its lifting purposes. These were a lot less fun to deal with than the other side, just all the goop and stuff that was built up. This is also the exhaust side, so you just kind of get extra stuff built up on every single nut and bolt. So I decided to go ahead and rotate the tires, you know, because I'd put 50 miles on them. Probably won't maintain that, but these had a little bit more tread on them than the other ones. So I should probably put the meats on the rear anyway, since it is just a rear wheel drive truck, at least for now. So slip that wheel on there and hopefully not touch the wheels for like at least 6 months. I don't know, we'll see. Watch me lie about that, and I'll be messing with them tomorrow. Yeah, that's much better. It's about an inch high in the back now, but which I'd rather a rake than a squat. Nothing against the whole tooted community, as they call it, but it's just not for me. So cool. Obviously the wheel well in the rear is cut deeper than the one in the front, but the actual levelness of the truck were, like I said, about an inch high, which is nice. I can work with that. Of course, it did also rotate the tires. The tires in the back do have a solid 1/4 inch more tread, which you can't tell when they're side by side, but when you put a tape into them, that's how deep the grooves are. So I think we're good. I think that'll sort that out. So next thing to do is, I guess, get back on the welding and the grinding. Put the top handrail around that. I say handrail, it's going to be spaced off, I guess, 6 inches or so. It's not going to be like an actual handrail, but something to get that a little bit of depth. Get that cleaned up, bed lined, and thrown up there. And somewhere in there, it's unavoidable. I know the bed's going to have to be shimmed. Everything is square in the same measurements here and there, but that's just how life goes. So after that's actually final mounted on there, then we'll shim the bed, and it's going to be close. It's going to be like a washer, a bolt washer head or something like that. That ends up evening that out. But finally have something with the drivetrain done, at least, which is nice. So I can move it and drive it around again. And I got to find a wiring diagram to figure out how to make that electric tailgate work with the truck, because they went away from the physical handles and went to this push button deal here. So that's yeah, that's cool. I guess I'll hook up the backup camera or something too. It's a shame that mirrors don't work anymore from the era when we used mirrors to back up, but cool. Yeah, moving forward.